Today's games are brought to you by AE Engine Media Marketing, AmericanEagle.com, Bag Tags, Bubba Burger, Bullseye CMYK, Cliff Kid, Expanda Brand, Front Rush, Fusionetics, Dick's Sporting Goods. Today's games are also brought to you by Major League Soccer, Nestle Nesquik, Nike, NSCAA, Positive Coaching Alliance, Premier International Tours, U.S. Soccer, Wilson Trophy Company, and Yokohama. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Frisco, Texas, just outside of Dallas, home of the 2017 USYS Soccer National Championships. I'm Todd Panula, and I'm here to bring you all of today's exciting U19 girls group action between Westside Academy out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Team Chicago Academy out of Aurora, Illinois. We're just about set to get things kicked off. The referee looks at the watch, blows the whistle, and we're underway. Starting things off will be Team Chicago. Singer takes it over to the far-hand side as the team out of Aurora, Illinois is clad in all blue with white accents, countered by the all whites of Westside Academy, once again out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Switching the point of attack is Hillman. Looking up top. Sending it on is Ruiz. Trying to catch up to it down by the corner flag. Cross in. Not enough bend on it, and that one will hit the side netting. Your starting goalkeepers for Team Chicago, it's going to be number 2, Samantha Sample, and she is countered by number 1, Briley Taylor, who you just saw moments ago in your picture. Almost intercepted there, and then finally the pass was knocked away. Taylor able to blast it up in the air, but the wind is going to be something to be dealt with. It's blowing mostly left to right, so right now definitely favoring Team Chicago. It's a switched point of view a little bit. It's coming now slightly towards the camera as you view things. It had been blowing, it's always been blowing mostly left to right, but it had been blowing somewhat from our backs. And so corner flag to corner flag, it's still mainly doing that, although it's switched a little bit to where the corner flags are mostly coming towards the camera area. That one high up in the air, but West Side unable to come down with it. Now it's on the foot of Jones. Jones, the commit to Oklahoma State. Cowboys definitely have a good player in her. She's already got a goal to her credit in this tournament. As West Side were victorious thanks in part to a Jones goal, and now she's on top of the ball. Sends one in, but too direct there, and that's going to be one of the easier saves that Sample's going to have to make here today. Team Chicago building through the midfield. Bombacino drops it back, and Schoolman send it back. Bombacino. Ruiz was looking over here towards the near side. They were trying to let Ruiz know from the bench that the goalkeeper was quite a bit off her line. And Taylor, a fairly athletic keeper, but definitely not the tallest that you're going to run into. Not the shortest either. I've seen some fairly short goalkeepers playing major college soccer and still managing to get the job done, but those air balls tend to be a little bit tougher. And once again, Coach Loverchek getting word onto the field. Watch how far out the keeper's coming. Now, Pele trying to switch the point of attack, and again, it's going to be difficult to get high balls to their intended targets until you kind of figure out the speed of the wind. And it's been a little bit gusty too, mainly steady, but a few gusts here and there, so even when you think you have it settled down, you don't necessarily know the speed. Lang Bartles on for Gornell. Trying to slip it through to Nicolette. That one stepped in front by Mikos. Team Chicago. Up through, and now it's with Hillman. Pele will chase it down, keeping it away from Bombacino. Lobbing one over, but that was too much in the middle of the field. Needed to go more towards the corner flag to allow Bell to run onto that one. King blasted away. Team Chicago back in possession. Ruiz. Bell right on her. Almost made the steal, but the pass went awry. Here's Jones sending one through the midfield. Gornell spins away with possession. In the attack for Lang Bartles. But again, just a bit too direct right now for West Side Academy. Pele keeps it in play. Bombing one up through midfield, but nothing doing there. King able to stop it, trying to find Ruiz, but the pass went wanting. Here's Jones trying to send it back the other way. back to the defensive side of things. Higginson. And now Bell. Pele struggled with it initially. Up to the half-field stripe. Bit of a collision there. Nothing too much in it, so says the referee. Kraus. Set back by Maris. Maris again, this time dummies it enough to get some space. Ruiz. Trying to save it. Singer laid it pretty far back there. Now here's Ruiz. Singer climbing for it. They're going to try to chip the keeper. Just a bit too far. Would have been interesting to see, had that been on target, whether or not Sample would have had it covered. Or excuse me, Taylor. King in a bit of a wrestling match here. Jones hauled down, and they're going to get the foul actually on Bombacino. Team Chicago trying to hem them in here on the sideline. Just a bit of a gap there, all that they need. Langbartles dropped it back. Jones getting whacked a couple times there. Continued up by Hall, and that one easily taken away. Ruiz trying to slide one through, but too much pace on that one and too direct. Taylor easily able to come out and claim. Pele dropped it back. Hall able to clear it out, but not with much possession. Stolen away by Langbartles, but she played it right into the defender, the captain, in fact, Annabeth Fouts. Too heavy on the touch there from Bombacino. If she had been able to settle that one down, there would have been an opportunity for a volley strike on that. Jones trying to command the midfield. Looking for space. She lobs one up the right-hand side, but too many clad in blue to track this one down. Looking for a strong run from Maris. Now through the midfield, Schoolman almost given away. Sliding challenge from Jones. Gets it up to Langbartles. Langbartles carrying it over towards the right, continuing her run past the defender. Going to take a shot, but that one kind of skittered along the ground and lost a lot of whatever power was put into it initially. Now all the way to the far side, Maris, the speedster, looking for a bit of space of her own. A lot of green in front now. The Red Sea parting. She tried to pass through it, going to try to carry it through it a second time, and this time it was cleared away. Ruiz looking for a little bit of opportunity her own herself. Hillman tried to lob one over, and that didn't quite get underneath it. Now here comes Bombacino, and she won't be able to run it down. want to thank everybody for watching, tuning in on YouTube to this Turbo Sports production of the USYS Soccer National Championships. Whether you're watching from Tulsa, Aurora, all points in between and beyond. Todd Panula with you here, bringing you all the action. West Side looking for space. It's been a precious commodity for both of these teams as they've come out with a lot of steady energy. You haven't seen anybody overextend themselves so far. Nobody's really put themselves in bad positions. But the best scoring chance so far was a long strike by Jasmine Ruiz. Trying the far side. Now here's a left-footed strike. Just scraping the face of goal.
Haley, put the ball on your right foot.
Singer probably would have been better off putting it on the right foot. Easier to kind of swing it around the goalkeeper. Instead, if you put it on the left, which seemed to be her preferred idea in that moment, you have to strike it about as straight as you can, and even then, it's all about the hip position in terms of whether or not you can get that one to bend in. Brought down by Ruiz, drop back for King. Looking for that through ball. Instead, it's taken by Singer. She had it knocked away. Quickly back in. Ruiz couldn't control it, though. It was a hot potato. And back out this time for a West Side throw-in. Wind once again picking up, seems to have shifted once again, basically going left to right now. So this one should be on the ground. I believe the official called the foul for the dangerous play to kind of stick the foot in. Instead, they go short and back. Now up to Mondi, the captain. Mikos. Singer was making the run. Instead, it's with Hillman. King coming up from a defensive spot. Eating up all that green, but then the defender ate her up. To the far side. And Maris. Maris, a little bit slighter of frame, but uses that speed to good effect. Gives it off to Mikos. And just a bit too heavy on that first touch. Now she's in a battle with Pele. Pele coming away with it. Working it up the sideline. She was not looking for a foul. Looked like she went down. Obviously did go down. It looked like there might have been some contact, but the referee didn't make any kind of motion. Pele didn't even look for it. So her foot just kind of went out from underneath her. Singer sends a good ball in, but it ended up just a bit wide of target. You like the idea, but so far for Haley Singer, the finished product hasn't been there. Tussle along the near sideline. Team Chicago trying to keep it in. Unsuccessful there. This was last touched by Bombacino. Quickly in for Jones, and she lays it back very calmly. Return pass finds its target, and Jones knew that the pressure was going to be there. She was trying to blast that one through the legs, but instead Mundi was able to get, and now it's with Maris. Space in front if she utilizes it well. Slid through, trying to find Singer, but the defender was just able to stick a leg out. Whether that was purposeful or not, it ended up being beneficial for West Side. Mikos, a bit too eager to get that upfield. Would have been better in possession as she takes on Langbartles. Ruiz has to send it all the way back. Trying to lead that one on for the streaking runner up into the corner. Instead, it was off the head of the defender. Couldn't be kept alive by Schoolman. And now it's Kraus. Schoolman looking for Ruiz. She was looking for Maris, but the defender got in the way. Kraus. Lofted ball. Singer couldn't get it to settle down. Now it's a foot race. Team Chicago coming away with it, but not with good possession. Bell coming all the way back to track it down and touched out for the throw. It'll stay with the blue-clad Team Chicago. Ruiz lays it back. Mikos. Ruiz, flag stays down. Hillman. Now for King. Hillman again. And now they reset. Schoolman from the far side. A good ball through. Towards the top of the arc. They send it on near side to Mikos. Cutting it towards the end line. Cross in, and they score! What a fantastic run. A great ball in. Finished off by Ruiz in the 19th minute. So Ruiz gets her first goal of the tournament. A brilliant ball in. And Ruiz took advantage of the defenders who were ball watching just a little bit, but I mean that ball was so perfectly placed. And Ruiz right there to finish it off, just kind of lunging in to get a touch on the ball, and that's really all she needed. She ended up getting a decent amount of power behind it in the end, but a great goal to open up things here in this group stage of the U19 and 20 Girls Championships. Now Singer takes a spill as she's again just a little too anxious over there in the corner. Drops it on back and Schoolman will pick it up. Team Chicago really starting to put the clamps down here on possession. And now about 20 minutes in, we're going to have a hydration break. Everybody will come over to the sidelines and refresh themselves, get a bit of instruction. Got to stay on the field, though. Team Chicago with a 1-0 lead over West Side Academy. A 19th minute goal by Jasmine Ruiz is the difference in this one so far. you're West Side, obviously you have a little bit more room for error, as they were victorious 2-1 yesterday over ASA Coyotes. As I mentioned, J.C. Jones and Anna Gornell coming away with the goals in that victory. So they've already got 3 points in their back pocket. Obviously, you don't want to lose this game. You would rather get some sort of result, either a draw or a victory. But if you're Chicago, you couldn't necessarily ask for much better in terms of the way of a start. I mean, you could maybe say put one in a little bit earlier, but about a third of the way through the half and scoring a goal and really kind of putting yourself on the right foot and setting up a lot of dominance in terms of possession here in the middle stages of this half. Team Chicago has really done themselves well, as they really need 3 points out of this one. A draw would potentially keep themselves alive, but then you have a lot to do tomorrow. You get a win here today, and all of a sudden you put yourself back in the discussion to potentially finish on top of the group, or at least finish in that second spot. Driven over here to the near side. Bell has to slow it up. Dropped on back for Pelé. They continue to work it along the back line as West Side trying to find the spaces in the defense. Those are hard to see right now, as everybody doing a good job clad in blue to close things down. That does tend to use up quite a bit of energy. So not a bad strategy here coming out of the water break to try to possess the ball a little more out of West Side. Because if you could just kind of make Team Chicago chase just a little bit, then all of a sudden defending gets a little bit harder. The legs get a little heavier, a little more fatigued. Getting those feet to move becomes a little bit more difficult. If you're Team Chicago, you just kind of need to hold the course. They've done a decent job up until the last moment or so. It seems like the water break has hindered them more than anything, as King was a little bit lax in that back pass. Second opportunity was a little better, and getting it up towards the forward line. Not on target, but enough to at least kind of set things up properly on the defensive end again. Ruiz drops it back and Schoolman boots it out. Now Lech trying to get it on for Langbartles. Once again cleared away. Pelé. Near side, the pass from Hall finds Bell. Looks like a sub will check in at the next opportune time for West Side, as Pelé puts this one back in off the throw. Ruiz sees it go all the way back. Now a little bit of space in front. Some shoulder movement from Kraus. She lobs that one over towards the far side, kept in at least momentarily by Maris. But she put a little too much on that when might have been better to let it roll out for a throw as opposed to giving up the goal kick. A couple subs coming in now for West Side. It's going to be Morgan Medina as well as Kayla Foster. Foster will be heading to Missouri University of Science and Technology once this summer is over. And Medina, also a college commit. She's going to be playing with Northern Oklahoma. Now Maris dancing around with it, spinning, twirling through defenders. Too hot to handle there for Bombasino. And that one will just roll out. 28th minute. Ruiz's goal, the lone goal for Team Chicago. As that one rolled on through. The recently inserted Foster trying to get it away from pressure. Near side to Langbartles, who has come out wide with Foster going more into the middle. Jones trying to pressure a mistake, was unable to do so. Schoolman just sends it back for Kraus. King. King watches it roll by, intended up here on the near wing. Instead, Langbartles takes it right into the defender. So the call was eventually kind of for the fall. They kind of collided with the head of Mundi. So you like to see the referees taking precautions to prevent any injuries, as this one's going to be too strong for Singer to catch up to. But though you can see the foul, you could also understand the point of view of West Side, why they didn't think it was, because it seemed like kind of a collision just between both sets of players. Now Mikos. Sliding challenge by Jones, able to take that one away. Apparently a foul was given there, an interesting call. Didn't seem like anything really happened, although given the last few moments, the official seems to be trying to tighten this one up. Doesn't seem like the game's getting away or in danger of becoming overly physical, but she's trying to make sure that it doesn't even approach that area. The center official has thrown the gauntlet down, saying no more fouls, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of end result we get for the next challenge. Sent into the box, dealt with nicely by Team Chicago's defense, back into the mixer, but with no real purpose, and that's just hammered away. Hall trying to chase it down. Pillay here on the near side, but they're not going to be able to get it to her, as that's good defending coming from Bombasino to take away that exit pass. That one intended for King. barely got there. Now Bombacino saw it hop over her head. Pelé trying to chase it down with a person right on her back. And that's going to be a throw-in for Team Chicago. More subs going to come in, one for West Side. We'll see if they also allow the sub for Team Chicago as well. Into the game now for West Side is Haley Schroeder. That one harmlessly out of play. Now into the game, Riley O'Brien. She's going to replace Alyssa Bombacino. Deflected up into the air. Schroeder brings it down, looking up top for Foster. Foster able to muscle her way back into possession, wants to put her right foot into it, but the wind was coming in her face. So once you get that thing lofted, the wind's going to get into it and kind of put some spin on it. Very difficult to put some power in behind. Checking in now for Team Chicago is Kennedy Metzger. Give a rest for Hillman. Here's the fresh O'Brien. Near side to Mikos. Pass wasn't quite on there. Jones trying to lob one over to the far side. Both the wind and the deflection were the ones to spoil that. Flag goes up, offside. Just a bit too eager there from Metzger. Lobbing one up, and again, just too much backspin on some of these balls sent up towards the forward line. Because with the wind blowing in your face, if you put any kind of spin on it, it's really going to cut into that wind and get caught up in it. Again, trying a long ball, this time looking for Jones. Again, a good sliding challenge from her. She's able to lunge in. It's going to be a throw-in for West Side. Jones wanted to take it quickly. Instead, they'll send Pillay up. Jones gets possession now on the ground. She takes a shoulder from behind, and the foul is going to go against the recently inserted O'Brien. Well, the referee was true to her word. She said no more fouls, and the first foul afterwards gains a yellow card. A bit harsh there, as Riley O'Brien had just come into the game. Now Jones sending it in for that back post. Dangerous, but ultimately safely into the hands of Sample. Now Pele. Again, a lot of backspin on that one. Foster got ahead to it. The spin and fire from Nicolette. Now on for Lech. Good touch in to the box. Jones gets it past the keeper, but not with enough speed. Confident goalkeeping by Sample, but she came up empty-handed, got away with it. Lech couldn't keep it alive. Hall back for Pele. Now King looking to spring the attack. They get it over the head of Pele, and running onto it is O'Brien. Chasing it down as she heads towards the corner. Hall trying to chase her, putting it in an advantageous area, but ultimately coming out and grabbing that one was Briley Taylor. Here's Schroeder. Jones showing why she's going to play in the Big 12. Able to muscle her defender off. Jones takes the elbow. And now she'll pick it back up over on the far side. Lobbed in. Nobody got a foot onto that one. Foster was there. She was unable to connect. Team Chicago trying to regain their grasp on this one. They're still in somewhat of an advantage, but the game has started to swing the other way just a little bit. Now Ruiz, the goal scorer. Mikos. A little bit more space between the defenders now. Team Chicago trying to take advantage of that, but Maris cut it right back into the teeth. Near side for O'Brien. Gonna take on Pele, slices through, but that allowed Schroeder to come back and help. Ruiz lifted that one just barely over Roberts. Here's King. Good ball on the ground to get the defender to lay out. Now O'Brien with space, left-footed cross. That will gain. Well, it was going to gain a corner, but apparently the near side flag had been up. So offside was the call. O'Brien won't be able to chase this one down. Off the head of Foster. Schroeder. Foster trying to find a little bit of space. It's difficult to see out there. The teams have been very good as a unit for defending. Pele is able to push that forward, took out the player in the process. Here's Maris, good ball through, getting it on to Metzger. She takes a spill, but Hall comes away with the ball. Now give it away, Singer, back for Ruiz, left foot. She couldn't get it to curl. Into the game now for Team Chicago will be Rachel White. well as Caroline Reedy. Just about 3 minutes left to go in the half, plus any additional time added on. King looking for O'Brien, instead goes the other way for Metzger, and it's going to get all the way out. A little bit shaken up after that ball to the gut. Foster hits the ground. Pillay couldn't quite get it. Now she's out of position. Jones tracking back. Here's King. Jones with a fantastic sliding challenge. Laid back for King once again. On through for Metzger. She's going to keep it in. But she was off balance and couldn't quite keep that ball on target. One more sub in for Team Chicago. Coming out will be Ruiz to get a little bit of an extended breather before halftime. Into the game now is Natalie Massa. So we're in the final minute of regulation, and there's a reported 2 minutes going to be added on. A good foot into this one. It was flicked on. Hard to tell whether it was from one of the attackers or a defender. Nevertheless, it ended up having to force Sample to come out and play it. Now Gornell. She had one of the goals yesterday in that 2-1 win. She would really like to get one here. Jones sends it to the far wing. Booted up by Bedina. Trying to slip one through. Running on is Reedy, but she's not going to be able to catch up to that one. Hall a little bit too quick. Once again, Medina sending it up the wing, this time looking for Foster. Kraus. We're into stoppage time. White. And now Kraus. Mondi. Hall able to muscle off Metzger. Now here's Foster. Looking for Jones, wasn't quite on. Pillay, who's kind of pushed up more into a wing midfield role. Not a wing attacker, but definitely not her left back role that she started the game with either. Here's Singer. Kraus. Massa lets it roll through. White. Looking more and more like they're trying to kill off the rest of this half. Just about done with this first 45. We've hit 47 minutes played, so you have to figure there can't be too much left. A wild swing at that one, and Schroeder doesn't come up with it. Metzger with an opportunity. Can she put one in at the death of this half? Jones coming all the way back. Referee checks her watch. Doesn't look like she's ready to put the whistle up to it, though. One more check. White lays it back. Foster able to steal it. Is there enough time left to do something? There it's not. Halftime whistle goes. The lone goal goes to Jasmine Ruiz as Team Chicago scored in the 19th minute, and that managed to hold up Westside Academy with plenty left to do in that second half, but they had a good end to the half, picking up a little bit more momentum and creating a few more chances. So it'll be an interesting second 45 to see how this one plays out. Don't go too far. When we come back from the halftime break, we'll have your second half of action between Team Chicago and Westside Academy.
The road starts here. The road paved by pain, sacrifice, and struggle. The road paved by passion and pursuit. The road where dreams come true. On this road, many will fail, and on this road, many dreams will fade. But as for you, what will be your fate? When there are seconds left and you are running on fumes, will you be satisfied with almost? Or will you dig down into the dirt, take one more step and make one more play, knowing that good enough isn't good enough? And all the blood, sweat, and tears have brought you to this moment, the moment where pain turns to greatness. On this road, nothing is given, everything is taken. On this road, winners will rise to the top. Heroes will be made. And on this road, champions will be crowned.
It was 1935, the year that Elvis and Sandy Koufax were born. It was a year of many firsts, including the first NFL draft, the first Monopoly board game went on sale, Social Security began, and Babe Ruth hit his last home run. In addition to these milestones, the National Junior Challenge Cup was founded in 1935. Offering a youth competition for young men in the United States. The cup was later named the James P. McGuire Cup, after the late U.S. soccer president, who himself was quite a standout in his earlier days, winning the U.S. Open Cup in 1929. McGuire would lead U.S. soccer and earn an international reputation as an excellent leader.
The Jim McGuire Cup was started in 1935. It was the only cup that the United States Soccer Federation had for youth players. And it was a very good competition, and I can tell you, I mean, this was the highlight of my soccer career to be a champion in 1954.
This storied cup, now the oldest trophy in youth sport.
It has a history, it has a meaning, I think it has tradition. So I think it's extremely important for our competitions, for all the age groups that kind of emulate the Maguire Cup.
Winning the Maguire Cup is huge, just because all that history that comes along with the oldest trophy in youth sports period. That's really big for us.
Who will write their name in the next chapter of the storied Maguire Cup?
And welcome back to Frisco, Texas. Just about set for second half action. Todd Panula along with you here on Turbo Sports. As it's the U19 and 20 girls group stages between Westside Academy and Team Chicago Academy. Team Chicago up by a goal, 1-0 your score on a 19th minute strike from Jasmine Ruiz. Set up beautifully by a cross from the right-hand side. Absolutely nobody was going to get to that except for her. Now here's Metzger, trying to get things rolling on the early going, pressing it towards the end line, cutting it back, sliding across, but not too much that her teammate could do over on the far side, Riley O'Brien. Metzger and O'Brien have both stayed in here as late first half, substitutions. Now it's on with Massa, who has also stayed in, so it appears as though most of the first half subs have stayed in. Cutting it back in, and there's the goal! Bombacino makes it 2-0. One of the few first half exits to knock that one out. So now Chicago definitely in charge of this one, as they have been the more desperate team, and understandably so, given the fact that they played well yesterday, but they can't take their foot off the gas. It was a back and forth affair, but so it wasn't as though they had a 2-0 lead yesterday, but they did see themselves fall by a final score of 3-2, and WSA not necessarily the most offensive capable team in this tournament, but they're a very solid team with some players more than willing to put it in the back of the net. And they're going to have to do it at least 2 times now to get something out of this game. But with the win in their back pocket, they can still have their fate in their hands come tomorrow. But they don't want this one to slip away either, not solely in terms of end result, but in terms of final score as well, because right now they've seen their goal difference slide into the negative. Trying a long ball, and it's going to take a little bit for Westside to get accustomed to the wind. They were going into the wind in the first half, and that kind of strike is more something you'd see given the first half. Jones just putting a little too much on that one, a little too much leg behind it. So 19th and a 47th minute goal have Chicago on top. Bombacino trying to find her way into a little bit of space. None really to be had. Now here's King. Bombacino calling for it here on the left. Instead they go right. O'Brien cutting it back in towards the central area. Bombacino, little dummy, little fake, able to bring it over towards the left. Metzger continuing her run. Now she finds her towards the corner. Metzger with a cross, a low line drive. O'Brien steps in front of it. Bombacino trying to get it on the right foot. Defender got in front. Second chance. O'Brien was there for the deflection. They're going to say that it went out. Bit of an awkward fall for everybody involved there as Taylor just kind of launched herself in, but kind of backwards as to where the ball had been. Coaching staff for Team Chicago a little bit upset that they weren't given the advantage in that situation. Now Pillay will come out and get a rest for WSA. And in her stead is Mariah Nicolette. She's going to take more central defensive role, so it'll be try to get a better understanding as to who will take that left-hand spot. Right now it looks like Morgan Medina has been pushed out wide. So the goal kick forthcoming. Sample's going to go short with it. Not a whole lot of pressure. Speaking as players that have moved up, it appears that Laramie Hall, who could very well go into the book here, it looks like she's just going to get a talking to. That one intercepted in the midfield by Gornell. Drops it on back for Jones. Back for Gornell. Nicely stepped into by Metzger, who's come all the way back. The wind begins to pick up once again. Trying to filter that one over the far side for Stevens. Stevens. And now Massa. Looking for a return pass from the wing. Team Chicago. O'Brien with the last touch. Another one right into the defender. Stepping up into the attack now is Schoolman. Near side for Metzger. Back towards the end line. A touch across the shin. And that'll be a dangerous free kick. A yellow card handed out in the 54th minute. A right-footed in-swinger going to come in here in just a moment. Santos going to that near post. It was bobbled. Couldn't be handled by Taylor. But the attackers couldn't take advantage either as it goes out for a goal kick. Swing and a miss there on the challenge. I believe that yellow card had been handed out to Tristan Edgar. Schoolman had to be sure of that one, as that one was almost going to hop over her head, and that was actually Nicole Mundy. Trying to play it up from the back. A little bit of a collision. Chicago springing the counter from it. Here's Bombacino. And they will just try to set up some more possession. Massa to the far wing. Bombacino. And the touch! Score! Catherine Stevens makes it 3. Team Chicago in firm control of this one now. Still plenty of time left in this half, only about 11 minutes in. But right now, it's looking more and more in terms of this result. Like the best West Side can hope for is to try to cut the goal difference down a little bit and get themselves back towards even overall, because right now they've gone from +1 to -2. Chance to get something in here. Jones cutting that one through the wind. To the far side now for Nicolette. She couldn't do anything with it. And that one went off of bodies in the middle. Hall trying to get a flick onto it. Just a grazing blow. Not enough to really put that where she wanted. Now Chicago's just going to deliberately set things up from the back. Here's the goal scorer, Stevens. Laid back. All the way up from the right back position, Hillman. Team Chicago in control of the ball and the contest right now. Sending it through the midfield. Over here to Metzger. Playing a little run through Schoolman. Putting it in the danger area. Not able to come away with it though. Now King had to send it all the way back. Kraus with Hall coming right into her a little bit dangerously. And they are going to bring it back all the way for the foul. And we're going to get a yellow card for persistent infringement. So a yellow card in the 59th minute. Laramie Hall going into the book. Ball quickly back into play. From the far side, once again on the near post, Metzger. She could not get it to go in. She got a good touch on it, but needed to send it back the way it came just a little bit more. A lot of tussling going on in the midfield. Again, this time Jones, not the tallest, She almost seems the most experienced in terms of getting body position. Now laid over to the far hand side. Nicolette from the middle. Pressure coming. Hall, a nice settle, able to take advantage of the miscue. Hall taking it straight away center. Takes a spill, looks up at the official, a little bit exasperated after all that effort was expended. Metzger wide open here on the near side, but it's going to be difficult to get that ball through. Instead, they continue it on to the right. Time's becoming a little more desperate now for West Side. As they look up top to Hall. Takes a bump from Kraus, but got the pass off. Foster on back for Jones. Too heavy on that touch, couldn't recover. Nicolette gets it off. Edgar mishandled the pass. And out Stevens. On through for Metzger. Flag down. Everything is on here. Metzger to the end line. Shot right into the goalkeeper. A good save by Taylor. Solid positioning. So the corner kick will be for Team Chicago from the near hand side. Flicked away by the defender. Continued on as that was cleared away by Gornell. Not far enough to completely avert the danger. This one goes off of Gornell, but it'll stay in on the far hand side, just to the near side of that Nike soccer logo, which has begun to fade a little bit. Here's Kraus. Wants to go for herself. Plays it right into the defender. Now lays it off. Bombacino. And now Massa. Almost miscommunication there by everybody. Stevens realized it was going to be too tall, but then the goalkeeper and her defender, Taylor and I believe Nicolette, almost got things, their wires crossed. Jones looking for Hall outside. Was poked away just a little bit. Booted back up towards the corner. A good run here from Jones. She's putting a lot of effort in, not wanting to allow her team to go quietly into the afternoon. Hall coming back to pick this one up. Right foot. Foster was the intended target. Might have been better to try to curl a shot around the defender. Bit of a struggle there from Sample to hold on to that one, but in the end it was a reasonably comfortable save. Speaking of goalkeepers, with Team Chicago up by 3 and not a whole lot in terms of shots put on target, looks like we might have a goalkeeping change. If that were to happen, it would be Nikki Coriel to come in. WSA doing a better job to build things through the midfield, but again, just seems to be always some sort of miscue, whether it be a mishandled pass or a long ball that just has a little too much or not quite enough on it. Just has not been quite on today for them. Not strong enough there, as that was easily cleared away, much to the displeasure of Coach Loverchek. King from the half line, sending one through. Metzger's got the speed, and the wind is aiding this ball to stay in. Metzger carrying it towards the end line, wants to cut it back inside. Flag stayed down, never went out. It will roll out here on the near side, but that'll be a throw. So that'll be it, at least for the moment, for Schoolman. And back in is Nikos. And with that stoppage in play, they will take a stoppage for the hydration break. Once again, right about at the 20-minute mark into the half, which means we've played just about 65 minutes in total. Been a good contest overall. Obviously, the fans from Tulsa will not necessarily be happy with the way things have played out, both in terms of potentially the officiating. As always, anytime you're down, you'd feel there are things that could have been called here or there that might have given your team a better chance. But just overall, the WSA came out a little bit strong right in the early going, but once Team Chicago put that goal in, and a little bit even before, I'd say from about the 8th or 9th minute on, it was really all Team Chicago in that first half. And West Side Academy has just not had too much in the way of opportunities to get back into this one. But you have to give Chicago a lot of credit. They've been very good defending as a unit. So it's not as though you've had a ton of individual efforts where you could point out and say this person was great, that person was great, but as a team, they have been extremely solid. So they have made the goalkeeping switch, which is somewhat interesting, given the fact that her jersey has the number 13 on it. On the roster, she's just listed as a goalkeeper, but Metzger is still in the game. So as a technicality, there are two number 13s in the game, although Coriel is not officially listed as a 13. Coming all the way back for Edgar. And now Jones has that one pilfered away. And here's Foster. Hall from the end line, getting one out towards the penalty spot. But again, just too many in blue in front. Here comes Bombasino, straight up the gut, looking for some space over towards the left. Instead, cuts it back towards the middle. Over the far wing, Hillman. Tracked down from behind. And then she is absolutely stuffed there as she tried to regain it. Jones with a little bit of space. Team Chicago content to just kind of back off. They put enough pressure on her to kind of force a bad pass from Jones. Higginson. Up for Langbartles. She goes down in a heap. The referee not impressed. Team Chicago going off onto the attack. O'Brien almost got to it over on the far side, but that was eventually handled by Higginson. Not with too much conviction, but it got the job done. Up through the middle, laid back. Looking for Hall here on the near side. In a foot race with Miko. Hall's able to win it just barely. Miko couldn't quite stab it away. Hall puts it back towards the top. Foster wants to serve it into Jones, and instead it all is for naught. Now back through the middle, Bombacino. Stepped into by Higginson. Bombacino goes down, a little bit worse for wear. Jones, who has taken up more of a wide role, but obviously with the freedom to still go central as she's trying to do there. And Hall very frustrated with her efforts right there. She knew that the run was being made, but ended up just kind of flicking it instead of actually turning it into the path. Difficult to handle there for Stevenson, but she's able to do it. Taking on the defender, now drops it for Miko. All the way back for King, into a bit more space in the midfield. Massa. Dropping back. Bombacino wants to put it on that right foot, wants to go for goal herself. She scores! So 2 goals now for Alyssa Bombacino to put her in the lead. Well, tying her for the lead, in fact. Catherine Stevens' earlier goal was her second of the tournament. 2 goals now for Bombacino in this game, putting her team up by 4. Heading into this one, it's not necessarily the result we would have expected, but that's why you actually play out these games. Chicago didn't have necessarily their best effort yesterday, but they still were showing things on the offensive end. Pretty much given by the 2 goals that they scored, but they weren't as tight as they would have liked defensively. And that ended up costing them a chance to potentially have 4 points after today instead of just 3. On for Metzger, but she ended up pulling that right back into the defender. As we head off the other direction, now it's Stevens. Hillman. And now Metzger has taken her spot on the wing. Metzger going to take it all the way towards the end line. Team Chicago showing no want to try to kill this one off. They want to put their stamp on this one and really get themselves solidly on the positive side of the goal difference. They have pretty much flipped themselves from where WSA is. They went from -1 to +3, and the complete opposite is true for West Side. So it's looking like at the end of 90 minutes, these 2 teams are both going to have 3 points apiece. So depending on what happens in the contest between ASA Coyotes and YMS Premier, there's going to be a lot to go for in tomorrow's games. Fresh legs coming in all around. Checking in for Team Chicago is Maris, Ruiz, and Singer as they get their first action here in the second half. In for WSA is Schroeder. In for the first time is Brianna McGowan. And also back in is Megan Bell. So all of this came because there was a free kick given. The foul was called against Team Chicago. Singer trying to bring that one down as both substitutes just freshly checked in go at each other. Schroeder somewhat coming away with it. She didn't really come away with the ball, but her team ends up with possession. That's good enough. In through the midfield, Schroeder bumped into a couple times. Now it's Ruiz heading the other way for Team Chicago. Looking for space, taking all that she can, just dribbling it out. Coming over here now to the near side for Maris. Maris, I'm tempted to give her the nickname The Flash, not just because of the red hair, but which would play into the whole tie-in, but simply because her legs just seem to go so fast when she's running that they're almost a blur sometimes. Now she comes back, takes a bit of a knock, and that's going to be another foul against Hall. She's not all that accepting of the call, but wisely showing no ill will towards the official as she's already sitting on a yellow card. Long ball in towards the edge of the box, but that's easily handled. Singer tries to bring it down with Schroeder right on her back. Filtered over towards the far side, given away rather cheaply as it's taken by Medina. Ruiz, after Chicago had stolen it back. Mondi. And now Hillman, back for Mondi. Missing on the slide challenge. Here's Singer. Lobbing one up for Stevens. Didn't quite get there. Higginson blasts one up towards half field. Set back by White. Team Chicago really putting the grasp on this one. They're already up by 4, and there's hardly been any possession here in the last few moments for West Side. Sub coming back into the game now for Team Chicago. Caroline Reedy will re-enter. She replaces Jordan King, who had a very solid match. You're probably not going to see her name necessarily showing up on the score sheet, but she did a lot of the little things that you need to do to win in the midfield, winning some of those battles, winning loose balls, 50-50 challenges, making good passes to keep possession, a lot of good decisions, and also pretty stout on the defensive end as well. So Reedy has taken up more of a attacking role, which has pushed Stevens out here to the left-hand side. And it looks like they've dropped Maris back into that more midfield defensive role that King had been spotting up with. Now here's Ruiz looking for a left footer, but she got too excited with that one and just blasted it over. little over 10 minutes left in this one, plus any additional time. Puts it into play, quickly taken back. And then given away again. Ruiz getting away with a bit of a shove there. Hannah Lech was kind of looking around, wondering what the heck's going on. Arms were extended, but I think the official felt that it was a bit on both sides as Schroeder takes a spill. And that one will not go unpunished. Wind again shifting direction as it's coming still left to right, but more from behind. That is to say, from your vantage point away. This one long decided. The only difference now is whether or not West Side Academy can pull one back and get the goal difference a little more respectable. Reedy drops it back for Ruiz. Quick one time looking for Singer. Reedy making the run. Pass could not be had. Singer now tries to slide it through, and wisely Reedy just let it go because the flag was surely going to go up if she made an attempt on that. Here's Bell in a tussle. Team Chicago coming away with it. Over here to Stevens. Crossing the half line. But just content to keep it in possession. Ruiz. All the way over to White. Ruiz again. Now Singer. Putting the moves on the defender. She tries to get around Medina. Settled down by White. She brings it in towards the middle of the pitch. Now for Ruiz, near side, Stevens, and she drops it back to Maris. Bell on the defense. Schroeder joining her, and she runs over to try to cut off White. Hillman again. Sliding one through. Reedy was there, but the ball was not quite. Now here's Hall. Dummies it off to get it around Mikos, trying to use her speed, but Mikos answering her step for step. That longer stride aiding Mikos just a little bit. Hall playing it off Mikos and gaining herself a corner. Near side corner is WSA trying to steal one back. So we're in the 85th minute. That one harmlessly goes out. Taking a look at the other scores from some of these other games. As Hall tried to play it in for Bell. Bell got it. Here's an attempt, and that's going to end up going quite wide. Not really troubling Coryell. Currently in progress, and these scores are not necessarily updated completely live, as this score is 4-0, and the website still has 3-0. But unofficially, the ASA Coyotes lead YMS Premier 1-0. So that is definitely, if that scoreline holds up, even if ASA increases their lead, but let's go with the assumption that ASA wins and pulls off the 3 points. That is going to make for an incredibly interesting final day in this group, as everybody will be sitting on 3 points apiece. Score lines remained the same. Team Chicago would jump from the final spot into the top spot of this group, Group B. And once again, everybody will be tied with 3 points apiece, so that's definitely going to be something to watch. And once again, if you want to check up on everything that's going on, tournaments.usyouthsoccer.org is where you can do that. Now an attempt here for McGowan as she pressed in on the attack but was thwarted there. Instead, it's Stevens looking to head the other way. Cuts it just a little bit too finely, though, for her. Maris finds a bit of aid through the midfield. And interesting to blow the foul there, as there was a lot of green in front of Maggie Hillman. Looking at the schedules for tomorrow in the 1 o'clock game, it's going to be Team Chicago against ASA Coyotes. And then WSA will play YMS Premier. That one will also kick off at 1 o'clock, and these are all Central Time, obviously. So again, if the score lines all hold true, then whoever wins tomorrow, if there are two winners, in fact 2 winners, it would put both of those teams easily through. So everybody controlling their destiny, as this one just flashes wide off the foot of Ruiz. But the scenarios become even more interesting if, again, if scorelines hold the same, finals remain the same, I should say, if you get the same 2 winners. It becomes incredibly interesting then, because if you get anybody that draws tomorrow, all of a sudden that opens up the floodgates for tie-breaking scenarios. So once again, tournaments.usyouthsoccer.com, or .org, excuse me, to keep abreast of that situation. Now Ruiz trying to extend the lead, and a big-time block, and then another save made by Taylor. Ruiz absolutely rocked Mariah Nicolette. She is still trying to shrug that one off. '45th minute in this half, 90th minute overall. There's been no signal as to additional time. One would have to figure, given the score line, you might cut down the amount that you would normally give. The official puts her hand up in the air, and she's just going to go for mercy as we blow it right at 45 up on the clock. So that will do it. Team Chicago has vaulted themselves, at least temporarily, towards the top of the group with a 4-0 victory over Westside Academy. And you need to tune in to tomorrow's action to see how all of it shakes out. It's going to be a really interesting finish to this U19 and 20 girls Group B. That'll wrap it up for our coverage of this game. Make sure to tune in to all of our games right here, brought to you by Turbo Sports on this YouTube channel. But until the next time, for everybody here at Turbo Sports, I'm Todd Panula. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.